Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Onside Kick Show. I'm Zach Stein.
Gavin, Lemke, welcome back.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties today, so if you didn't catch us on the air, apologies. But nevertheless, we're back on the tube, the YouTube, with some good football content. So it is the Combine Week. Happy Combine Week to you and your family, Gav.
Happy Combine, man. I wish I was in Indianapolis right now.
Yeah, man, doing 40-yard dashes and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you genuinely think you would run as a 40-yard dash?
Dude, I can't lie. I'm low-key fast. I feel like I'm definitely faster than like Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff. Like there's dudes in the league that I'm faster than. Like realistically, probably like a 5 flat.
You think a 5 flat?
Like a 5'1", 5'2". I haven't really hit
Okay.
the track in a long time though, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sub 6 100%.
If you're running a 5 flat, I'm probably running a 6 maybe. I don't know. I'm okay. I'm decently fast when I accelerate, but right off the burst, not the most.
Yeah. Broad jump, I feel like, is where you make your money.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got actually world record 14 feet broad jump.
That's
so,
cry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look me
man,
up in
get
the
you to
world
Indy,
records.
man.
Yeah, straight up. Maybe next year. There's always next year.
Yep.
A couple things happened this week. The franchise tag window was open.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about this last week, like who you think could get the tag. I think we both agreed T. Higgins was definitely getting tagged.
Yeah.
He's been the only guy to be officially tagged so far. But there are a couple really interesting ones in terms of who's not getting tagged and then those who are expected. So there's one recently came out, L'Jarius Sneed, Chiefs corner, that he was expected to be tagged. But as of an hour or two ago, they're also giving them permission to seek a trade. So I think that's really interesting. He could be on the trade market. Really underrated corner, has come on strong recently for the Chiefs. Big part of that Super Bowl win. There is Justin Wadabwike, the Ravens DT. He had like 10.5 or 11 sacks this year. Might even been more than that.
For a D tackle, too.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
incredible. I mean, I remember back in the day before Aaron Donald, like Geno Atkins. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was a baller. I was thinking about putting him as the player flashback. He was getting, 9.5 sacks. We were like, that's sick. He's a D tackle. He's getting 9.5.
Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, he was a stud.
Come on.
I will say I'm not a big fan just of how many players he's injured, like him stepping on people and stuff.
Okay, Rodgers, he stepped on that O lineman. No lineman wasn't even hurt. He did injure Jay Cutler on that when he was like scrambling out of bounds and Ndamukong Suh was chasing him from behind, just hit him in the back.
Yeah, dirty player.
Pause. Jalen Johnson. I saw the Ryan Poles press conference yesterday. He said that the talks are going well and they're looking to get a deal done. So that's hopeful for the Bears, right?
Mm-hmm. Thank God. I mean, like, we need him. We need him so much.
Need that guy.
We are going to do a segment today called Championship Foundation, which is going to be highlighting like the best players and then some players that might have some concerns on our teams, the Bears and Lions, respectively.
Yeah.
And Jalen Johnson, we're going to talk about later. But he's a blue chip player. Like the Bears need him.
Yeah.
He is
Big
arguably
piece,
the best
big
corner
piece.
in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
So, but Ryan Poles pretty much said, we're going to franchise tag him if we can't extend him. So that's good.
Yeah,
we need
they're
some
trying to
security
avoid
there.
that, which makes sense. Probably any franchise is trying to avoid the franchise tag just because it's not really the best thing for the player. They do get more money out of it, but in the long term, I don't really think it really helps the player's career. How about Antoine Winfield? He's expected to get franchise tagged. Is that right?
Yeah, it was reported that he is likely, of all the guys who are free agents for the Bucs, that he is the most likely guy to get it, which means that they are definitely set on trying to bring back Baker. Mike Evans, I think, still question mark. I know they want him back, obviously, but is he going to want to re-sign there? Depending on how much money they give him, I don't know. The franchise tag for Evans would have been like $28 million, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that's way too much. But yeah, Antoine Winfield, got to keep him too. It's going to be tough to keep all three, but you really have to try.
Yeah. Winfield, he's one of those blue chip guys, like you mentioned earlier. A couple guys hitting the market, though. They did not get franchise tagged. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. A lot of running backs kind of going along with that narrative that's been spread over the last offseason, this whole season, just diminishing value of running backs. I mean, I feel like Saquon might be one of the most valuable guys hitting the market right now.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the occasional injury concern, like he usually is banged up at some point. I mean, you still on a good team, like he could have a McCaffrey type effect. McCaffrey, great on the Panthers, but then had some injury problems. Went to the Niners. They knew how to use him. Well, as funny I say that because they also just give him the ball a ton.
Yeah.
But still, they would regulate his usage, and they had a ton of other weapons that kind of ease the load off him a little bit. So yeah, we could see a Saquon type effect. We didn't even mention Derrick Henry, also free agent running back too. They weren't thinking about franchise tagging him because it was long confirmed that he's gone. But
I haven't thought about Derrick. Where do you think he's headed?
You know what? I originally when the Chargers signed Harbaugh, I was like, man, if you get Harbaugh there.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, I don't know if they have a ton of cap space, right? So I'm not totally sure, but him or the Ravens, gotta be. I could see Josh Jacobs maybe going to the Ravens too. I just don't think the Ravens are going to want to spend the big money on a running back. Jacobs is a guy who's going to get a 3-year deal somewhere, whereas Henry, you could probably see him getting a 1-year. He's 30.
It would feel weird, like him in the Ravens offense. I don't know if I've ever seen Derrick Henry taking handoffs out of like a pistol formation or like a shotgun formation. I feel like he's always been like a single back guy.
Yeah,
like
true.
in Bama's offense and Tennessee's offense. And he's also just like a huge dude. People say he's too easy to tackle because his legs are so long. And you could just dive at his legs. But I don't know. What am I talking about? I've never tried to tackle him.
That's probably a good thing because you wouldn't live to tell the tale. I mean, he is so hard to bring down. I think really, I don't know about easy to tackle, but it's definitely that is the easiest way of tackling him. You can't tackle him from the shoulders down. I mean, he's going to destroy you.
Look at us talking about tackling Derrick Henry. We don't know the first thing.
No chance. A lot of good running backs. And the other couple people I want to point out, Brian Burns has been on the trade market, it seems like, for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Panthers don't want to extend him. He's one of the fastest, just greatest young edges in the league. They need him. They don't have anybody else. They have to re-sign him. So they are definitely going to franchise tag him. And then Bryce Huff was kind of an underrated edge rusher with the Jets. They just have a lot of rotational guys in there. And so he may be on his way out. They said, the Jets GM said they're not going to tag him, but they are still talking to him about a deal. So that could be interesting. But speaking of Jets players on the move, so Zach Wilson on the trade market.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I think that's interesting considering this could be Rodgers' last season, and they're not going to keep him around to be Rodgers' successor. I find that pretty interesting considering the relationship that they developed. You saw it on Hard Knocks. Seemed like they were into each other. It seemed like Rodgers, he's probably going to retire at the end of this year. Would seem like Zach Wilson would come in and take the reins after Rodgers, but I don't know, man. If you got to move him, you got to move him. Maybe the Jets go and take a QB in the draft. That's probably where their mind's at. Pretty deep class for quarterbacks. I don't know. Where do you think you could see Zach Wilson getting traded to?
I mean, I'm thinking of a team that definitely doesn't need him to play now. No one's going to trade for this guy to be their starter right away. I think maybe, let's say he stays on the Jets for this year. He could get traded mid-season. But, I mean, what if even you're a team like the Chiefs, maybe you just trade a 6 for Zach Wilson? Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. Because I think he has only 2 years left in the deal.
Yeah.
If he had a few more years, then maybe they'd be like, let's just sit him, see if we can develop him a little bit. If anything happens to Mahomes, that's it. Kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett in New England.
Oh, yeah.
They went down, had some good backup. No, I would say, what about like the Rams? They got Stafford there.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
That was my thought was the Rams.
Trade a 4th at most for him. I think he could probably go for a 5th or 6th. But trade a 4th rounder for him and, have him sit behind Stafford for a year. Who knows?
I could see him in that offense. How old is Matthew Stafford? He's 36?
Yeah. He's getting up there.
Yeah, he is. And he's kind of hurt every season. He's been banged up.
Yeah.
At least his past season as well.
And it's a guy or the Rams are a team at least that I think could sneakily want a quarterback in this draft. They don't usually have first-round picks. And so if they are winning without using their first-round picks, what if they say, all right, we're going to still use a first-round pick on a non-immediate impact guy, have him sit. Like I think somebody like Bo Nix even, or J.J. McCarthy or whatever, just have him sit behind for a few years. We're going to talk about Bo Nix later. I think he's actually pretty ready to play. But, a lot of teams that could get Zach Wilson for cheap. I can tell you one thing. If the Bears even sniff around in that market, I'm going to become a fan of another team, and that's just that.
If Zach Wilson went to the Bears?
Yeah.
You wouldn't hop on the bat? You wouldn't get a jersey?
I think it's more likely for me to commit arson than it would be for me to get a jersey of Zach Wilson on the Bears. I would just be so sad.
I wouldn't like him on my team either. I mean, I feel like he would be a good career backup, Like maybe maybe kind of like play like Flacco did this year. Like
Yeah.
just every now and again, like somebody gets hurt, he'll come in, like make the difference. Like, yeah, maybe he'll have a pretty good game every now and again, but I don't think he's going to be a starter.
That's true. He does have his games. He'll come in and just
Yeah.
be really good. I mean, he didn't play amazing in that week 1 opener versus the Bills, but he got the win. He threw that touchdown to Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Mainly a great Wilson catch.
That was an
but,
insane catch.
Yeah.
Speaking of this week, NFL Combine coming up. Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow we got defensive linemen, linebackers going, Friday, D-backs, tight ends. Some interesting storylines, though. Caleb Williams, Drake May not throwing.
Yeah.
Find that kind of interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
they've probably thrown enough footballs in their life. Do you know if they're doing pro day? Are they throwing at a pro day or anything?
Yeah.
Or?
Caleb said he was going to throw at the pro day. I'm assuming Drake's going to do the same thing. I guess I understand why they're not throwing at the combine. Like, why even risk getting injured in the slightest? Like, at the same time, they're going to be doing the drills, though. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think those two guys are pretty much like 1 and 2. Meanwhile, like Jaden Daniels, could sneak up to number 2 with a good combine performance. So that's why
Yeah.
he's going to do all the drills. But yeah, those guys aren't throwing. And Saturday is quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. That's the big offensive day. Sunday is O linemen. So we'll still see lots of quarterbacks and wide receivers, running backs run on Saturday. That's the day to watch, I would say. But then again, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, 2 of the top wide receivers, they're not going to do any drills.
Wow.
And neither is our boy Cooper DeJean.
Damn, Coop.
Yeah.
Is he still recovering from that injury? Maybe he doesn't want to, put too much weight on himself earlier.
I would say that's probably why. Because if he went to the combine at full strength, he would have a DK Metcalf type combine where
Yeah.
it was just absolutely blew every chart like out of the water, except for I think DK didn't do well on the 3-cone. Aside from that, he had crazy.
That makes sense though.
Am I right about that? I think they said DK Metcalf. I mean, he ran like a 4.33.
Yeah.
He did all these crazy things,
Cooked.
except for the 3-cone was like worse than Tom Brady or something.
That's crazy.
I think that's what it was. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean he's not like he's like a stiff route runner. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have what do they say? He doesn't have the ankle movement or the knee agility, I guess, to really run like those tight dig routes and stuff like that.
Right.
But on the Cooper DeJean note, Will Compton had a funny tweet he put out. He told Cooper DeJean, he's like, I'm happy that you're missing the combine because, you don't want to show any of that whiteness out there at the combine and make your draft stock fall, because the numbers might not be there. That was funny. But
Show
I
your
think Cooper DeJean's a way better athlete than people give him credit for. Especially, like, I know it's all jokes and stuff, but, like, dude, he can jump. He's fast. He's athletic for a white guy. I'll
Yeah.
give it to him. I don't think this hurts his draft stock at all. I think competing in the combine could only hurt his draft stock, so I like that. I mean, I think the stuff that he put on tape the last few seasons, I think it speaks for itself. So,
Yeah.
I still see him as a first-round guy.
Absolutely. He's an uber athletic guy. We already know that. So, yeah, probably no reason to actually test there. But I did want to bring up one thing that I saw over the week. We were just talking about some funny tweets. Well, I saw a tweet from Antonio Brown. Don't ask me why I was looking at Antonio Brown's Twitter, but you know how he was joking a while back? Him and Chandler Jones, they were going to start a podcast called CTESPN.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I
Okay,
get it.
good.
Because I saw it. This is a real thing. And they're tweeting about it.
They're actually trying to do this?
Yes. There is a CTESPN account on Twitter. Now, I found this because Antonio Brown on his main Twitter, he tweeted a very, very valuable piece of information, a great journalistic tweet.
Yep.
Hashtag Steelers, Kenny Pickett has thrown a touchdown on just 1.8% of his passes in the NFL.
Wow.
That's the lowest out of all 391 QBs with at least 500 attempts in NFL history. Hashtag CTESPN report at CTESPN.
Nice, man. That is journalistic. That's a statistical deep dive from Antonio Brown.
I'm surprised.
I'm proud of him, bro.
Yeah, I'm proud of him, man. I'm surprised
come a
his
long
brain
way.
cells are actually putting enough to like research like facts and data, and it's just crazy. I thought that was insane. I mean, if you go to his account, he's tweeting about a lot of BS, just like
So much BS.
Tom Brady's wife or his ex-wife. He's tweeting about like Meek Mill and P. Diddy being lovers or something like that. Like Biden's opinion on Gaza, like just random, just so much stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of on like a Kanye type
Yeah.
bender. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like.
There's a works cited and then a picture of a crack pipe for one of his tweets with an iFunny logo in the corner.
The
Like, bro
iFunny
just screenshotted that from iFunny.
When was the last time you were on iFunny? Dude, I might re-download that app.
Maybe.
No lie.
I think I went on it again in like 9th grade, and I was like, because that was like a elementary, middle
Dude,
school type beat.
It was a staple.
It was, truly. Be waiting for them to refresh the new
Yeah.
favorites for the day. Oh my gosh. iFunny.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, isn't that a Russian app? Like people were like boycotting it because of the war or something.
Who knows, man?
I don't know, man. But
I'll
yeah.
boycott CTESPN.
Yeah.
You
facts.
think they're gonna get like sued, copyright laws from ESPN? I feel like ESPN really wants to do that. They probably don't want to see this thing take off. Do
I
they?
mean, especially since their followers are shooting up. They're already at 13.6K. So
yeah, that's more than us, bro.
yeah, no, straight up. Like we got to up our game. Maybe we just got to start tweeting about Giselle. Like
I think I'm
don't
gonna DM AB, try to get him on the show, hear his thoughts on it, because we're just kind of meandering right now. We don't know exactly what's going through his head.
That's true.
So maybe we can get him on the show, have him explain himself a little bit.
Yeah, true. I would like that.
Yeah,
That would
AB,
actually be insane.
AB, come on,
Yeah, come on, man.
come on.
Give us a chance. Give us a shot. Well, let's go to some less crazy news. I thought this was really interesting. So Browns GM Andrew Berry, he was saying that the Browns are going to submit a proposal to push the trade deadline back. And there's a clip on Bleacher Report that I saw, and it was basically he was just saying he's clearly thought about this a lot. He said the baseball and the basketball deadline is about 65% through the games. And then the hockey trade deadline is around 70% of the games. NFL right now is at 45%. Because obviously the deadline didn't move when they expanded it to a 17-game season.
Yeah. So what is it, like week 8,
Yeah.
something like that? I
Yeah,
think.
so I think he's proposing to push it back to week 9. And he said also because the NFL has thought about adding another game to the season, making it an 18-game season. So I thought there's two parts there, but I do think it is worth noting that most of the other major sports have them well over 50%, whereas we are under 50% through the season where our trade deadline lies. So I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with that. I would say push back the trade deadline, but I mean, do you really need to? I feel like the NFL is a league where like it can be week 18 or the divisional round, wild card round, and you could sign a player to your team. Like if there's a free agent, and the NFL is also a league where like veteran guys, even if they're still playing really well, like a Bobby Wagner or something like that, like they can get released like week 18 or something like that to make roster space for another guy. So yeah, I don't know. I just think with the freedom in the free agency market, especially late in the season, I don't know if this is really necessary, but at the same time, like, why not,
Yeah.
Like, if it's this way in every other league, seems to be working out pretty well. And there's more drama around the trade deadline, I feel like, in baseball, basketball, more than the NFL. There's still drama around the NFL, but it's not as big of a story.
Yeah. At least some years there are some crazy stuff that happens, like Jalen Ramsey got traded. There was a couple big things, but yeah, for the most part, no, it's not. There's a lot more trades at the NBA deadlines, I would say. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I would totally be in favor of doing this. I think teams mainly would just want to do this because it gives them an extra week of flexibility in terms of like procrastinating on paying their players, right? Because
Yeah.
they're like, we don't want to pay him, but we would just have to let him go at the end of the season, so we're going to get a draft pick for him. And so that just gives them another week to kind of evaluate that. So I think it would be smart for teams, but yeah, I would definitely be in favor of doing that. Just why not, But yeah, I thought that was really interesting for them to be talking about that. Now, we talked a little bit earlier about the Championship Foundation. So a big inspiration for Gavin and I on this show is the MoveTheSticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, two NFL analysts, I believe former scouts. I know DJ was. But they have a segment called Championship Foundation. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the graphic that we came up with here. But it's color-coded analysis of each team. There is a recipe for a championship, supposedly. And most of the time, that means having, obviously, a good quarterback. Then it's going to say you need 3 offensive playmakers, 3 quality O-linemen, 2 pass rushers, and 3 defensive playmakers. No shout-out to kicker. I think that's pretty underrated part of a championship
Yeah,
team.
I mean, most teams' leading scorer ends up being a kicker, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you got a good one. So me and Gavin made championship foundations for our own teams, the Bears and the Lions, of course.
Yeah.
So Gavin, you want to start us off here? Walk me through your championship foundation for the Lions.
Yeah. And just to make sure this is all cleared up, blue equals a blue chip guy, right? Blue chip guy is pretty much the premier. That's exactly what you want out of somebody. Green is good, means they're getting their job done, but they're not great. Yellow means that they got some age concerns, maybe injury concerns or contract concerns. And pink means they're young or unproven. So, yeah, if you want me to get started, we can get started with the Detroit Lions quarterback, Jared Goff. You said you need a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I listed Jared Goff in the green section. He's good.
Yeah.
His contract expires at the end of next season, so I guess that could be a concern, but I do kind of expect the Lions to draft a quarterback in this draft.
Ooh.
I think that would be pretty cool.
You think first round or second round?
Not in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah, no, probably like in the third or fourth round. We got 2 third-round picks, so maybe
What about
something
Hendon
there.
Hooker? Do you like Hendon Hooker at all?
I just was thinking about it. I'm like, why did we draft him? Like, I feel like Goff had too many years left on his contract when we drafted Hendon Hooker, and it didn't really make sense. And this year's draft makes a lot more sense. But yeah, Goff got him listed as good. He's kind of like a Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott type of build. Like, I believe he can win us a Super Bowl just because of the pieces around him, but he's good, not great.
Yeah. I think that's fair assessment.
Yeah. And then moving on to the offensive playmakers section, I just had so much to work with here as a Detroit Lions fan, so I might have thrown more than 3 on there. I got Monty, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, all blue chip guys.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I know Amon-Ra St. Brown, currently his contract's coming up at the end of next year, but they're in talks for an extension, a pretty hefty extension, like $25 million a year. And he's been the best player on our offense for the last 2 years. 119 catches, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns last year. First team All-Pro, Pro Bowler. He was getting things done. One of the most sure-handed receivers in the league. He rarely drops anything. He's one of the hardest workers in the league. He's a good teammate, good representation of the Lions. I remember, I think like 2022 draft, he like announced our draft pick, and everyone was hyped to see him.
That's cold.
So that's cool. And then, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about Monty? That was kind of the only guy that I couldn't decide if I wanted to say he was good or a blue chip. I mean, we got him for another 2 years. He had 1,000 yards rushing this season, 13 touchdowns, more than any other season with the Bears.
Yeah. He definitely did have his best career season this year.
Yeah.
He was very efficient. It helps when you have a really good offensive line, too.
It does help.
Now, I'm curious, because sometimes when DJ makes these, he has like 2 players in one. He'll say both of these guys together are a green or whatever. So did you just have those 3 guys in separate
So I had
categories?
Monty, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra all separate. I guess if I were to do that, I would combine Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs, just kind of the thunder and lightning combination. Obviously, this year, like they almost both combined for 1,000 rushing yards.
Yeah.
I mean, Gibbs, 950 yards rushing, 315 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns. Pro Bowler in his rookie season. Like, I think this is easily the best running back tandem in the league, and that's why I think they're blue chip guys.
Yeah. I mean, just for fun, I also made one based off what I thought you would have done. So I put Amon-Ra in his own right as a blue chip because I think he's super underrated. Then I put Jahmyr and Laporta together as a blue chip. Like those 2 guys were like both offensive rookie of the year candidates.
Yeah.
So I thought you put those together. And then I put David and Jameson Williams, threw him in there together, those guys as a green. I think you can totally argue that David in himself earned a blue chip. But I would say like, that's just you have a really good tandem. Both of those guys could be the RB1.
Big time.
But yeah, I agree with all that as well.
So then I moved on to another playmaker, Jameson Williams. This was, I think, like a prime example of when you want to use the pink marker, the unproven young guy. I mean, dude, like I only want to see J-Mo succeed, but, he came in with the ACL injury, had the gambling suspension thing. We saw flashes of it this year, including the playoffs. He had like 500 total yards, 5 touchdowns, which I'll take it. He had a great NFC Championship game with 2 touchdowns. His route running's improved a lot. He's making contested catches. He's scary with the ball in his hands, but, just hasn't really had the opportunities yet. In a press conference, though, on Monday, Dan Campbell did say that they're looking for him to make the jump to a full-time starter in the 2024 season. So, yeah, man, I mean, if we could see like 1,000-yard receiving season out of J-Mo, that would be awesome. But yeah, I think he's kind of a prime example of an unproven young guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. What did you have for O-lineman?
O-lineman, I took Penei Sewell, blue chip. I think he's a definition of a blue chip. I mean, since he was drafted, they told him that he's going to be the foundational piece of this offense. He loves Detroit. His contract is up after next year, though. But, I mean, the Lions have already been vocal about extending him. He was first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler this year. So, kind of a no-brainer there. Another guy that was kind of interesting was Frank Ragnow. He's coming off a Pro Bowl season. He was Pro Football Focus's highest-graded center in 2023, but he admittedly almost retired at the end of this season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous. He's been battling a chronic foot injury for the past few seasons. He is like one of those vets that just never practices during the week, and then Sunday he's ready to go. So I don't know, like, who knows? This could be his last season. I hope to get like 1 or 2 more years out of him just because he's one of the best centers in the league. But yeah, another prime example of age or injury concerns just because he was on the brink of retirement and he's like 28. Like, it's tough, man.
Yeah, as it stands right now, it says he's 27.
Damn.
And so it's, yeah, I gave him some extra credit, being like, maybe the retirement's just a myth. Maybe he's just really hurting and he can heal in the offseason. So I put him at a blue chip because, like, he's arguably the best center in the NFL, if not the best.
I know, like, from what I've seen from, like, the Lions, like, YouTube videos and stuff, you know, all the close-up shots that they get and all the footage they get on there, like, he was struggling this year. Like, he was struggling to make it through the season. Like I said, like, I feel like every single week I would check the injury report and he never practiced. But, you know, I mean, you kind of earn that right as a veteran. So, yeah, maybe if he can just get by, like, 2 more seasons without practicing, like, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he just needs another offseason to reset, and then he'll be good. Or he just, struggles to play every week. It's kind of sad. That's basically what Saquon does nowadays.
Yeah.
But
so on the defensive end.
Well, hold on. Do you have 3? Do you have 3 O-linemen?
I do have 3. Taylor Decker was the last one.
Yeah.
He's a good example of just good.
Yeah.
You know, he's been a Lion his whole career, big part of this rebuild that we've had. His contract expires after the 2025 season where he'll be 33 years old. So, you know, give us 2 more years. Try to get a Super Bowl out of him. He's held it down at left tackle. He's, tight with the rest of the linemen. He's a good piece to have in there. So yeah, I think he earned that role right there.
I would agree.
And then, do you want to do offense or should I just go straight to my defense?
Go to your defense. Let's hear your pass rushers.
So, Hutchinson, blue chip.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a little bit me being a little bit biased there, but, born and bred to be a Detroit Lion. Like, he just fits this mold so perfectly.
Michigan
He's a Pro Bowler. Yeah, Michigan guy. He didn't grow up a Lions fan, but it's almost even better. He grew up a Patriots fan.
Oh.
So he wants to win. He just saw, like, a bunch of rings. But yeah, Pro Bowler this year. He really wants to win. Loves this team. He wants to play here for a long time, which I support. And that's kind of like a big factor in it for me as a blue chip is like guys that are vocal and adamant about wanting to play with the Lions for a long time. I think that's a big part of it. And then another D lineman I had was Aleem McNeil. What would you give him?
I personally gave him a pink. I loved Lee McNeil in college, and I think last year was pretty solid. This year was kind of his year where he started to get a little recognition. So I think you could argue he's on the fence, like past the pink and already to like a green or something maybe. But I put him at a pink. What'd you have? Don't tell me you had blue chip. No.
I had blue chip.
No. Did you actually? Oh, my God.
Dude, he's such a beast, man.
He's
such a beast. He's like the only reason, except for the linebackers, that the Lions' run defense was so good this year. He's just a dog. It was only his 3rd season.
Bro, he's like an 81 in Madden.
That doesn't matter, though. That doesn't matter. Do you watch the games?
No, yeah, I will say that is a big man, and he is a crazy run stopper. And I think he had career high in sacks, too.
Yeah, he had 5 sacks this year, 6 tackles for loss, a forced fumble. Like, he's just out there being a disruptor. You got to put 2 guys on him on every snap. He's a tank. He also was hurt this year, and he, battled back because he wanted to play that bad. He was playing hurt. Mm-hmm. So you got to respect that. The only thing is his contract expires after next season, and I don't know if he's going to want to sign back with us. So, yeah, maybe – I don't know about young and unproven because he is young, but I feel like he's proven himself.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's a fair assessment. I guess I really only remembered the last 2 years. So.
Maybe I'll change that to good.
Hey, man, what's done is done. Aleem McNeil's a blue-chip player. Now, I'm going to hold you to that next year. He better make an all-pro team.
Yeah. So, my backers, I went with linebackers Anzalone and Jack Campbell.
Okay.
What would you grade those guys?
Anzalone and Jack Campbell together, I think you can argue together that they're a green. I would say Anzalone's actually pretty underrated. Campbell showed a lot of flashes, and I would love to say he's a green, but he also was a little inconsistent at times. So
Yeah.
I think that's just like a first-year guy who's going to develop into a better player.
Definitely.
So I don't know. Maybe I'd give him a green.
So for Anzalone, I gave him a good.
Yeah.
And then Campbell, I gave him a young, unproven.
Yeah.
Campbell didn't really have consistent playing. Like he didn't really have consistent snaps at the same position like all year. Until we kind of got to like week 15, 16. He was second on the team in total tackles with only Anzalone being ahead of him. Yeah, he's a big, strong guy, covers a lot of ground, reacts and recognizes plays like instantly, always playing at 100%. Aaron Glenn did trust him a lot. But yeah, I still give him the pink, the young, unproven, just because he didn't get really consistent starter reps all season last year. So I think next year he can really prove himself.
Yeah, we know he's Iowa bred, so he's going to be a dog. Just it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he doesn't play around at all.
Yeah.
And then my other guy on the defensive end, playmaker, Brian Branch, I gave him the blue chip. I'm giving everybody the blue chip.
You know that the colors don't have any relation to your uniforms, right? It's like their skill level.
I get it,
So,
man.
like, all these blues, like, what are we... Nah, but you can argue that for sure. He was absolutely clamps this year.
He was the steal of the draft. I think one of the most impressive things from Detroit last year was that when it was all said and done and everyone from the 2023 draft class, when all their rookie seasons were up, people would kind of break down, see who was really worthy of a first-round pick. And the Lions drafted 4 guys worthy of a first-round pick last year in Campbell, Laporta, who I didn't even talk about, Anzalone, and Campbell and Brian Branch.
Yeah.
Gibbs also, my bad. So yeah, I mean, I think that's just outstanding. Those guys, I want them all to be blue chip guys. Like I want them all to play for us for 10 years and just be Pro Bowlers. But you can't get everything you want. I mean, if you're going to take a more realistic approach at this, would you give Brian Branch the unproven?
I would give him a green. He did enough this year, I would say, to just be in that green already. You already know, like, he is. Because if you play multiple positions, like he was playing like the slot, but he was playing safety, he was playing like nickel corner.
All over the field.
And he was great at any of them. So, like run support, which was like, kind of a question. Like he had a lot of talent there coming into the draft. But he's been great.
He was outstanding in
tackler.
run support last year.
So I would definitely give him the green. So I won't kill you if you give him the blue.
So what about one more guy for me?
Yeah.
Kirby Joseph.
Ooh.
I want to give him the good. I think there's 3 options for him. I want to say he's good. He gets a lot of interceptions. He tears a lot of ACLs off divisional opponents, so that's good. And then,
is that a stat?
But at the same time, he's kind of got some concerns. He was hurt a little bit last year, but he played 16 games, I think. I think he was like 3rd on the team in tackles, so that's pretty solid production. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of a risk taker, kind of a gambler. Like he gets beat on deep routes a lot, and when you're the free safety, like that should not be happening to you. Like that's your only spot to be at. So yeah, I don't know. Kirby Joseph, I think I'm somewhere stuck between unproven and good.
I mean, that was only his 2nd year in the league, so you can definitely argue that he's unproven. But first 2 years have been pretty consistent. Like he had 4 picks both years. He started around 14, 15 games. He had 8 and then 11 pass deflections, and then 82 tackles and then 82 tackles.
Yeah.
So you can argue that we know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a solid guy in the backfield nonetheless. I was wondering if you were going to put Chauncey on here. But to me, he would be yellow because he's going in free agency.
Yeah, he's an obvious yellow. I don't even think we're going to hang on to him, so kind of not really concerning myself with that at the moment. I kind of just want to ignore all the guys that are probably going to be leaving the team this year, even though it's sad to see.
So then taking a look at your championship foundation, you have multiple blue chips on offense. You have a few blue chips on defense. You can argue you have more.
I have. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it sounds like
everybody.
really you just need another defensive playmaker. Your pass rushers seem all right, so you really just need one more defensive playmaker to go along Brian Branch. Like you got to hope Jack Campbell keeps developing.
Yeah.
And then you could be looking at a championship, which I think is fair to say because according to this formula, if you have all these filled out, you win the Super Bowl, and you guys were in the NFC Championship. So you're just like one or two pieces away.
And I think that's exactly right. The formula's starting to add up because I think all the Lions need to do in this offseason is get a corner or just any defensive back, really. I mean, we need a corner really bad. And then, probably a pass rusher. Get one of those because what team doesn't need a pass rusher right now?
Right.
Obviously, I don't know. I mean, I said I think Goff can bring us a Super Bowl, but, we'll see. He's got to prove it.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, you want to show us the Bears championship foundation?
Oh, I would love to. Now, I do have a hot take at our quarterback, just to start off right on the board.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about this. This is probably the biggest question mark.
You can argue that he is a yellow with the age, with the contract concerns. I would say most people would do that, but hey, you had a little Lions bias. I'm gonna have a little Bears bias.
Of course.
I actually had him as pink. I actually said he was unproven.
Who, Fields?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because I think that when you really break it down, he hasn't had a fair shot to prove what he's capable of on like a actually good roster. So this year we had a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's probably a little bit of a biased choice, but I genuinely do think that the quarterback that we have seen so far is still developing. And I don't think we know what his ceiling is. For that reason, I put pink in my own little world. In the real world, he's probably a yellow.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to do with this contract. And whether that's age, injury, probably not. Maybe injury a little bit. They still could be moving on from him.
Yeah, I fully agree with you with the pink. I mean, because you think, like, if he gets traded to Atlanta, like, who knows what you might see from him or, any other team. He might have a breakout season. So, yeah, I would say he's unproven.
Okay, fair enough. And then offensive playmaker, number one's got to be DJ Moore.
Oh, yeah.
I put him at a blue chip.
I agree with you, yeah.
I've always liked DJ Moore. Like, I loved him on the Panthers, and when we traded for him, that was so hype.
A huge trade.
Yeah, because I was always a huge fan of DJ, and I think this was his first year where he was elite. He was arguably snubbed from Pro Bowl, All-Pro teams. There were a lot of good receivers, though, in the NFC, so couldn't fault him too much for that. I think, yeah, that's a blue chip guy right there. Do you disagree?
No doubt. No doubt blue chip guy, in my opinion. I mean, if I'm going to say Amon-Ra's a blue chip, they had very similar seasons last year, and DJ Moore's quarterback. Actually, no, I won't say that. I won't rip on Fields, my bad.
Yeah, and he didn't play as well with Bagent, but Bagent is just not a great quarterback, so that's part of it. The other offensive playmaker I had, or the second guy I had, was Cole Kmet. I gave him a green. I think that this year, again, another guy really kind of stepped into his role as the primary tight end, and he had a great season. He's pretty much improved slightly every year. Solid hands, phenomenal hands.
Phenomenal hands.
Solid in the running game. He can definitely block as well. Is become a red zone threat too, which is good. So I gave him a green. They've already extended him. He is their franchise tight end going forward.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think he proved that last year. Definitely. I mean, if you wanted to go pink, young and unproven, I think this past season he proved that he's one of the best tight ends in the league, and he's a unit, man. That guy's huge.
Yeah, big hoss.
Yeah, he's just built like he's the perfect prototypical tight end. Like he's a Gronk build. Like
exactly.
That's what you want.
Yep. And then for the third offensive playmaker, I do think that the Bears need a third offensive playmaker just by themselves.
Go get Saquon then, bro.
Yeah, maybe. I would love that. But I'm going to talk about the two running backs that they do have. Deontay Foreman headed to be a free agent. But I had Khalil Herbert / Roschon Johnson together. I said they made a green because I think that Herbert, whenever he got over 10 carries this year, he had 100 yards, except for one game.
Wow.
But he had a receiving touchdown or something.
Interesting statistic there.
Yeah, so he was just banged up. He's a really solid guy. He led the league in yards per carry like the year before. And then Roschon Johnson is a really talented guy to Texas. It was amazing blocking and just on third down out of the backfield was really good. So I think if we have that running back by committee, he has been pretty good. And so together those guys would make a green. But I still say draft another guy.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And I think the Bears are also in the market for a free agent running back. So, yeah, I agree with you there.
Now, for O-line, I think Tevin Jenkins is arguably our best guy. I thought about him or Darnell Wright. I would say Tevin Jenkins is a green. He's also developed this year especially.
Yeah.
Really powerful guy. Not quite the blue chip level yet, and we're going to have to extend him after this year is over. But I have no doubt that they are going to keep him because he's one of the few guys that we can actually count on week in, week out on the offensive line.
Yeah. Not a lot of those on the Bears.
Unfortunately not. I did give Darnell Wright a green. You can argue that he's pink. But I would say of all the first-round offensive linemen, from him and Paris Johnson and Peter Skronsky, you can argue Darnell Wright was the best.
Yeah.
Could easily be a blue chip at guard, in my opinion, but they are playing him at right tackle, and he's been very solid.
And that's tough for a rookie to hold it down like that. So,
yeah,
I give him the nod, the green nod.
A lot of talent there for sure, so could eventually work his way up to a blue. Now, I did put a yellow for Braxton Jones / Nate Davis, just because Braxton Jones had a little bit of a penalty issue, but I think him and Nate Davis together, injury concerns between the two of them, pretty solid when they play. Maybe not good enough to say you don't take a tackle in the first round or a guard in the first round. But I would say together they're still pretty solid, maybe a little bit of injury concern. So I had them at a yellow, those two together. Now for pass rushers, I tried to tone my bias down a little bit because I think most Bears fans will tell you Montez Sweat's a blue chip guy.
Yeah.
I put him at green. I say,
Okay.
all right, we're not doing anything crazy. He had like 12 sacks this year. Did lead Washington and the Bears both in sacks respectively.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah, but he is a solid at the very minimum edge rusher. Like he at his ceiling, top 10 in the league. They gave him the contract. They're paying him like it. I think next year is where he takes the leap into blue chip, but he needs some help on the other side.
Yeah, so you're being a little bit more realistic than me.
Just a little bit. I try to temper my expectations a little bit because a lot of Bears fans kind of just blow their expectations out of the water, or their opinions on players are Bears fans. We have a lot of hope, not a lot of results. So sometimes that hope really transpires into overcompensating in our guys.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep it neutral.
In no world should Aleem McNeil be a blue chip and Montez Sweat isn't.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, for our other pass rusher, I had Javon Dexter as a pink because he had a really first half of the season, Jalen Carter was amazing, and then the second half of the season, Javon Dexter had a better year than Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
So I'm saying he's unproven. He had a really strong second half. Still need another edge guy there. There's no reason why you should have a green and then no one else. Like Javon was the only person I could have even put here. Marcus Walker is not really doing anything. Ngakwe is on his way out.
Yeah.
So I would say he's a pink there. Third round rookie.
Fair.
Blue chip, Jalen Johnson.
Yep.
I think that one speaks for itself. Lockdown corner. Got to extend him.
No contract concerns? You're not concerned about that?
I'm not worried at all because he's getting
working
franchised and he is here to stay. I'm not even concerned. Maybe he's a yellow in Daniel Jeremiah's world, but no, he's a blue chip guy when he's on the field. In terms of our other defensive playmakers, I combined T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds into one.
I like that.
I said they were green together just because I honestly think T.J. Edwards had the better year. He was just a better impact player, but Tremaine Edmonds had a lot of tackles.
Very
and
similar players.
Yes, definitely. Good tackler, pretty physical. TJ is better in the passing game, through the air in coverage.
So how about Brisker? Where'd you throw Jaquan Brisker at there?
Jaquan Brisker I had as the next playmaker. I put actually all three of the guys in the secondary that I didn't include yet. So I have Jaquan Brisker, Tyreek Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon all in one category. Together, those guys as our third D playmaker. I put as green. Brisker, you could argue he could have been a Pro Bowler this year.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevenson was a candidate for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And Kyler Gordon has been a very solid guy in his second year, showed a lot of promise. I don't think he's quite a star player yet. Tyreek Stevenson also kind of came on strong in the second half, whereas the first half he struggled. Jaquan Brisker is really coming into his own and being one of the better safeties in the league, though.
Dude, that's a solid secondary over there in Chicago. When you break it down like that, they got depth at every position, it seems like. Interesting. So is that it?
Yeah,
SFE?
that is it. So I have quarterback is obviously a question, whether you want to say that's yellow or pink. They need to address that, whether it's commit to Fields and get him another weapon or draft Caleb. But yeah, aside from that, they need one more offensive playmaker. The O-line, maybe they could get one more Studley guy there who doesn't have injury concerns. And then they need another pass rusher. But their secondary is looking pretty nice.
They need a pass rusher.
Yeah.
That's really all I would say. So in breaking this down and analyzing your championship foundation, are the Bears going to be like a playoff team next year?
I hope so, man. I think if we have Justin Fields at the quarterback spot, he's probably the most ready to go just because – and that's his goal. He said this year it's playoff or bust. So I need that. But then again, Caleb Williams could have a C.J. Stroud effect on this team. So it'll be interesting to see. But they better make the playoffs. They better be a wild card team.
And we still don't even know what the roster is going to look like come September. So
true.
Yeah, there's work to be done.
A lot of money to spend in free agency too.
Yeah. So, moving on from the Championship Foundation. Hope you guys like that segment. We might do that for the other NFC North teams. Maybe why not? Just kind of break down the arch rival Green Bay Packers, see where they're at. But yeah, moving forward, want to get onto our player flashback segment.
Boy, what you got for me?
Right here, we got a legend that everyone remembers. You see the hoodie.
I do see the hoodie.
DeAnthony Thomas is our flashback player.
Really?
Coming from Los Angeles, California, went to Crenshaw High School. He was originally committed to USC, and then on signing day, decommitted and flipped to Oregon. Had a great freshman season at Oregon, 7 rushing touchdowns, 9 receiving touchdowns, 2 kickoff return touchdowns. That's a great freshman season. In his whole career, 3,200 yards from scrimmage and 41 touchdowns. I mean, if you watched college football like as a kid, if you're my age, as a kid, like this was the dude, man. And like Oregon, you think about Oregon, you think about cool uniforms, just like drip. You think about speed, you think about Nike. Like that's just, I think DeAnthony Thomas embodied all of that. In the NFL, he ended up being a 4th-round pick. Spent 5 seasons with the Chiefs from 2014 to 18. Had a pretty good rookie year, but after that, it was kind of downhill. Just super inconsistent. They didn't really know how to use him. And then in his final season, 2019, he had 3 touches for 3 fumbles.
Dang.
Yeah. So, yeah. And take this to present day, thinking about DeAnthony Thomas. He's been out the league for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
What do you think he's up to?
Man, I have no idea. He was so cool in college and didn't really do anything in the NFL. So, like, I don't know. Maybe he's doing some analyst stuff, trying to get some of that
In the
career
media,
he
maybe?
may have lost. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. Peep his Instagram at DatBlackMamba13, DeAnthony Thomas. His Instagram bio, first off, it says he's an entrepreneur. He says, "Is it possible for me to provide funding for your business?" So I think he just makes money moves. Like, if you're watching this right now, please go peep his Instagram. I'm looking at it right now. He's got his own account called DeAnthony Funding. On his story, he's just talking about like remodeling houses.
My God.
It's one of those things where it almost seems like a scam. Like where you see those videos where someone will be like, "How am I living in this high-rise apartment in Los Angeles, making all this money, driving all these cars? Like, click the link in my bio if you want to find out." That's kind of the vibes that DeAnthony Thomas is giving me. Every now and again on his Instagram, he'll post like a highlight of him from college or something like that. But other than that, it's just a picture of like random stuff, and he's like, "I will fund your business," and they all got like 4 likes. So I don't know, man. Like,
Hey, 11 likes on this last one.
yeah,
So.
true, my fault, DeAnthony. But yeah, dude, I don't know. He kind of fell off, and like, I don't know, like he's got NFL money, I guess, so he's looking to invest in businesses, but he is just shoving this in people's faces. It's crazy. Like, I feel like there's no way he runs his Instagram because I'm just seeing wild stuff right here. I can't even really describe this stuff. Like, if you want to know where DeAnthony Thomas is at, just go take a look at his Instagram.
DeAnthony Funding.
DeAnthony Funding, man.
That's such an interesting flashback because I think some people will hear that and be like, "Who?" And then other people will be like, "This guy was so good. What happened to him?"
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he didn't do much in the NFL. It's sad.
It is sad.
He had like I think 1 kick return touchdown. I want to say, like maybe his rookie year. But he would kind of just make a big catch here and there, and you would be like, oh, "Okay, there he is."
Yeah, he was like a big play
Madden guy.
I agree. He would have a couple like breakaway touchdowns, but that's it. I'm looking at a video right now. It's just like panning over a bunch of buckets of paint, and it just says, "If your business is generating 15,000 or more, we can assist you in gaining access to up to 2 million."
What is he doing?
I don't know, dude. It just seems a little bit like sketchy, like scam artist
Yeah,
type
kind
stuff.
of a scam maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Like a picture of coffee, like I don't know, man. I would love to like send him a DM. You know what? Let's get him on the show. Let's start booking guests, bro. Let's get AB.
Perfect.
Let's get DeAnthony Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure those guys would love to talk to us, right?
Yeah, no, of course. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah. But yeah, so that's DeAnthony Thomas. Hopefully you guys remember watching him in college. Hopefully you remember playing with him in the NCAA video games. That was a really good time. He was like the fastest guy in the game every year. But yeah, moving forward, got a couple questions. Thank you to all our listeners for submitting some questions. First one I got for you, Zach. Jack asks, what QB do you think will surprise people at the Combine?
I think we said we were going to talk about Bo Nix earlier. I think Bo Nix is going to surprise some people. I have him as a top 5 quarterback in the draft. We will get into our rankings in the next week or two, but I did not think I was going to like Bo Nix this much, like going into this. But that man is a sneaky good athlete too. He actually reminds me a little bit of Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
He's not quite as big. Justin Herbert's like 6'4" or 5. And he's not quite as powerful, but he is pretty fast. He might even be quicker than Herbert. Once Herbert gets into his stride, I mean, he runs well, kind of like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and that was one of the things they talked about when Justin Herbert was going through the Combine. Like, you saw him in the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. I think he scored 2 touchdowns, and they were both, like, long rushing touchdowns. So that was cool to see from him. But, yeah, I love the Herbert comparison, especially coming out of Oregon. Obviously, Bo Nix played at Auburn for a long time, but probably the most film that people will be watching is from Oregon, and that's a lot of, bubble screens. He's not really throwing the deep ball that much, so he didn't really get to display that.
But
sort of
on
like
the
Herbert.
throws that he did throw deep, though, they were pretty accurate. I mean, he was really accurate wherever he threw the ball. But you're right. It was a quarterback-friendly offense, I would say.
Plus, Bo Nix, that's a quarterback name. That's like a Pro Bowl name, I feel like.
Absolutely. He's got all-pro written all. It's no Tommy Running Rabbit, but
True.
It's pretty good. I think he's going to stun people. I think he's going to run really well, especially because like guys like Caleb and Drake, I don't know. I think they may be doing the drills, but Bo Nix is going to throw at the Combine, too. I think he'll look really good on tape. He's a really polished guy. I like him just because he's shown his ability to develop already in college. So, yeah, he's a little older. But in the NFL, I mean, plug him into a good system. Like I would say 49ers, you put him in there and he's doing the same stuff as Brock Purdy.
Yeah. So I'll give you my quarterback that I think might surprise people at the Combine. I was going to say Drake May until I found out he wasn't throwing. I feel like he might run a pretty quick 40, though. It might surprise a little people.
Yeah,
but one quarterback that I've kind of had my eye on, sort of a similar situation to Bo Nix in that he played like 5 or 6 seasons in college football, is Sam Hartman.
Interesting.
I mean, I like him, man. I could see him succeeding at this level, sort of, and I know this guy hasn't really succeeded yet. He's unproven, but kind of like an Aiden O'Connell type to me.
Okay.
Like, kind of a shorter guy. He doesn't really have the height, doesn't really have the speed that you would like for like a scrambling type quarterback. But I think Sam Hartman could be a pretty good pocket passer. He throws the ball really accurately, and something that GMs like to look at is like just the experience they have. Like, I don't know how old Sam Hartman is. He's probably like 23, 24 because he was in college for like 6 years. But GMs kind of like that experience, and he's kind of a guy that you could plug into an offense that needs a quarterback. And, he could understand the offense. He could go through his reads pretty quickly. So, yeah, maybe I don't know about at the Combine, will he impress? I don't know if his athleticism probably won't impress anybody, but, maybe in some of the throwing drills he'll show off his accuracy, maybe show off a deep ball. I think that's kind of a big question mark that people have about him is his deep ball. But, yeah, I'd be looking at Sam Hartman.
That's a cool pick. I like that. Yeah, he's going to turn 25 in the offseason to answer your question over the summer.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, he's been – I mean, he was slinging that thing at Wake Forest.
At Wake Forest, he was a dog, man. Now, granted, it's the ACC, but still.
Yeah, still. That is a good pick. I like that. Daniel is asking, what will Rome Odunze's 40 time be?
Rome Odunze.
What do you think, if you had to guess?
Like 4.43. 4.43, in my opinion.
Okay, right to the millisecond.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know he's fast.
Yeah.
I don't think he's 4.3 fast, though. Honestly, I might adjust that like 4. Nah, I like 4.43.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on the dot right there.
I like it. I could say, yeah, he's running a 4.4 something. I think he's going to be in between a 4.4 flat and a 4.5. But I could see him like...
So like a 4.43, right?
Yeah. I'll spice it up. We'll go 4.48 maybe. Maybe I'll give him a little slack. No pressure to run that fast. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna be great. He's so polished already.
Yeah.
We love Rome Odunze on the show. I mean, Malik Neighbors is a god. Marvin Harrison's a god. But Rome Odunze might be the second best guy in the draft. So, yeah, I would say someone 4.4. So
yeah, the thing I like about Odunze is he kind of reminds me of like a CeeDee Lamb once he gets the ball in his hands. Like, I feel like he's a pretty big rack guy. But that to me, like, I feel like he's a physical runner. The speed doesn't really, like, jump out to me. But, I mean, he couldn't be this good of a route runner and this good of a ball carrier if he wasn't quick as heck, right?
Yeah, that's true. And guys like Justin Jefferson, like I don't remember I think he ran a 4.4 at the combine,
Yeah.
which was great because he didn't play that fast on tape like in college, but he ended up being even faster than his combine time would suggest. So
Yeah.
sometimes there's 3 different levels. There's how fast you are in college, how fast you are at the combine, how fast you are in the NFL. It doesn't all connect. So yeah, I mean, if it seems like he plays slower on tape, who knows? He's been training for this for a while. He's going to try and get that time up.
Yeah.
And he has the opportunity to really establish himself as that number 2 guy, especially if Malik Neighbors isn't doing any drills or anything like that.
Yeah, and 40 time isn't everything.
Right,
Just
that's
kind of
true.
remember that.
That is true.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see some of these wide receivers run the 40. I wonder who do you think will have the fastest 40 time? You said Malik Neighbors isn't competing. Marvin Harrison Jr.
I mean, there's some Blazers in this class. I gotta do more of my research on the non-first round guys, but Troy Franklin has wheels. He's gonna be up there.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. There's another speedy guy who I'm thinking of, and like one of the Texas guys. I think Adonai Mitchell is
Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, it might be him. One of those guys is gonna run a really fast one.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting.
Yep. So our friend over here, Eddie Tepper, he asks, how are the Simpsons always right? Was that Eddie Tepper?
It was Eddie.
Okay.
How are the Simpsons always right? Man, I mean, I have 2 football examples here because they're right about everything. You can say, oh, like there was I think the Trump election he predicted, the Simpsons predicted,
Yeah.
like a ton of other, like AI, like they predict everything. I mean,
Yeah.
people know that. But in terms of football, yeah, they, so Super Bowl, I don't know, let's read Roman numerals here. Is this 26? I don't even know what
That's
that
26, yeah.
is. They predicted that Washington would win. So here, I'll
Is
read
that
this
I
paragraph.
think that's the Super Bowl where the Lions lost to the Redskins
Oh.
in the NFC Championship, right?
It might be. I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
You
with
would know,
Doug
though.
Williams, right?
Ooh, yeah. Well, Simpsons apparently came out a few days before the Super Bowl, where Lisa correctly predicted Washington would win, and the next year they were once again correct by predicting the Cowboys, and then they would get even more successful predictions like the Niners over the Chargers in Super Bowl. I don't even know what number that is.
29?
I got to learn my Roman numerals, but yeah, that is a scary thing for them to always be predicting things right, even when it comes to football. Another one, there's Lady Gaga. There's an episode where Lisa like kind of turns herself into Lady Gaga a little bit, and then the costume from Lady Gaga that she performs in the Super Bowl years later actually had a pretty striking resemblance. So
That's
maybe she
insane.
took inspiration from The Simpsons, but either way, they willed it into existence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they also predicted like 9/11 and stuff like that. So I don't know. It really makes you think. I'm surprised no one's like
They know too
investigated
much.
this further. Yeah, they know way too much. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, Eddie, they either just manifest it into existence or someone on their staff is a time traveler.
Yeah,
And that's just undisputable. So,
I think that's honestly the only explanation for that.
Yeah.
To be real.
yeah.
But yeah, thank you for the questions, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the Championship Foundation segment. Hope you guys have been enjoying the player flashbacks. Go take a look at DeAnthony Thomas's Instagram. He might be able to help your business out if you're looking for a loan.
True. DeAnthony funding.
Did we talk about Cam Newton?
We didn't talk about Cam Newton.
One more thing, real quick. Cam
Yeah.
Newton took those dudes on 1v3. I'm sure everyone saw it. How did his hat not fall off? Did you see that? He had that goofy little top hat on.
People were saying it looks like the Wicked Witch of
swinging
the
at him.
West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. 3 dudes were swinging at him. He just stiff-armed all of them. Like, Cam Newton was, honestly, like, I feel like he could have thrown some punches and knocked dudes out, but he didn't throw any punches. He just was, like, grabbing onto those dudes, like, stiff-arming them out the way. There was a funny, like, Instagram clip of a dude before being, like, talking crap about Cam Newton, and he was like, I'm gonna go beat this guy's ass pretty much. And then, yeah, you guys saw the clip. Cam Newton defended himself, which is pretty cool to see because, I mean, as flamboyant as he is and as cocky as he is, you know, I guess that could incite some violence, I suppose. But don't forget that he was an NFL quarterback and that he's like a 6'4", 250-pound guy.
Yeah, he bullied everyone who tried to tackle him on the field. There's an infamous run against the Falcons where he bounced off like 3 dudes. He stretches for the first down. Like, I mean, those guys see that and they think, yeah, we can take him. No,
Yeah,
bring
crazy.
5 or 6 next time. That's
Crazy.
not, yeah.
So
So yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
the
man,
Twitter
shout out.
comments on that are hilarious.
It was so funny, man.
Yeah.
Peep the replies on that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Happy Wednesday. Thank you guys for listening again. I know we got a little bit of a different setup, but had some technical difficulties. Still able to bring you guys a show, able to give you guys the visuals this week. So hope you enjoy, and we'll be back next Wednesday.
Yes, indeed. We'll be talking a lot of draft coverage, so very draft heavy. We'll give you some rankings on quarterbacks, wide receivers, maybe some more positions. So let us know if you want to do, if you want us to do some more Championship Foundation stuff in there too. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching, listening, and we will see you next time. Peace.